They will soon have to go back and accept the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because he is the last and greatest messenger of God. Many are already in this predicament now with no money, no food, and no jobs. It is high time to ask, why are all these unusual things happening now at an alarming rate all over the earth at this time, with the worst yet to come? What is the poor black men and women called Negroes to do? Are these natural disasters now occurring daily? Or is this the end of the world approaching? And that's something to think about. Remember Jesus' prophecy? At the end of the world, there'd be earthquakes in diverse places. Men's hearts feeling them for fear of things coming upon the earth. Right? Many dreadful things would be taking place. And those things that he prophesied of, they're happening right now before your eyes. Then we had, do not miss this very important meeting Sunday at 2 p.m. to hear the answer. Help was on the way, but they ignored the help. You will soon dry all your tears. The God of our fathers, Allah in person, has come after us. He is here now. Come as you are and bring your families with you. Admission free. Think about this now. But they laughed at this. They rejected it. They turned it down. Now, the punishment, which they can't turn down. You turn down the warning, but you can't turn down the punishment. Now the punishment is on you. They had a choice. Accept divine guidance from God, or accept the punishment for turning down divine guidance. So since they turned down God, now they have to accept the divine punishment. So we're living in a very serious time at the end of the world, and many things are happening. And I want to just take a few minutes out briefly and talk to the Muslims, which some of the visitors might not understand what I'm about to say to you now, what I'm about to teach you now. But every once in a while, we do have to take time out and teach you. You know, you have when you're out there feeding your stock, you got all kind out there, you know, and you have to throw some food out there for everyone out. They don't all eat the same food. Birds don't eat the same food that another animal would eat, right? In fact, all the birds don't even eat the same food. So there must be something out there for all of them. I want you to know that I like Muhammad before he left now, he made some divine statements. One of the ones that he made was, he said, in order to get over to where I am, where I will be at the end of the world, he said, it's like having to cross over a strand of hair stretched between two mountain peaks. Just think over that now. In order to get over where I am in the end of the world, have to cross over on a strand of hair stretched between two mountain peaks. What does that mean? That the wisdom will ascend higher and higher and higher. The wisdom will ascend so high that most will fall off by the wayside. Do you understand? There'll be so much hypocrisy going on, so many hypocrites out there, in other words, until you won't be able to get over where I am. Yet you have to cross over. Think about it, on a very thin, like a strand of hair. Think over that now, to get over where I am. Only a very few will be able to get over to where I am. So is the wisdom going higher and higher? I'll give you a little parable of some of this. I was teaching you last week in the history of Jesus, his birth, and so forth, how Mary was impregnated by a Holy Ghost, which represents a holy man. Joseph, coming to her unseen under the cover of darkness, is who really impregnated Mary, but it was a holy man that came in. Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad shows us in a parable, which we have something like this here in what that really represents. Here in the Bible, in Revelations, we have in the 12th chapter of Revelations, that there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And he says, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon also was there, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head, representing the power that he had. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven. His tail even drove down the third part of those stars, representing those in the high place, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as he was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto God and his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness. And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time and times and a half time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman. The message said that water cast out after the woman is propaganda, lies. You understand? The woman there represents the messenger, and he's casting out lies and propaganda against the messenger, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. The flood of all this propaganda would destroy the woman. And the earth helped the woman. And the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keeps the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ, which represents the messenger there. He went to make war with them, the remnant, the ones who were the true followers. Now, what does all of this mean now? What is the symbolic meaning of all this? Elijah Muhammad said, the woman, I want you to listen very carefully. I think maybe you better get this tape. And I think you better sit there and listen to it and analyze it over and over again. It is a tape that don't even compare with all the rest of the tapes, if you're seeking higher knowledge and wisdom. Elijah Muhammad said, the woman being big with child, spiritually speaking, represents America being impregnated with the truth. And she's going to give birth to a holy child who is to be a ruler, representing a holy baby nation coming forth. But the mother, as you see there, said she's in great pain to be delivered of her child. Baby nation represents something very small, the nucleus of a great nation. Even though it is very small in the beginning, hardly noticeable, like a mustard seed. Yet within this tiny mustard seed is everything needed for it to become a great tree one day. The mustard seed came forth like that. Jesus compared the kingdom of heaven in the last days to a mustard seed in the last days. Very insignificant in the beginning, but with the hidden or secret potential to become greater than all the other trees of the field. You wouldn't think of that when you look at a little insignificant mustard seed. Who would think that the potential within that little insignificant mustard seed is for it to become a very great, gigantic tree one day? Think about this now. And the birds, the book says, come and find shade and rest and lodging in the shade of the branches of that great tree, which evolved from a tiny mustard seed. But one day that tree is going to become so great that the birds will come and find peace and lodging and rest in the branches of that particular tree. So we find the mother, America, symbolically, big with this child, a baby nation, which God himself is the father of. When God himself came and raised Elijah Muhammad in our midst and gave him the key to who the so-called Negroes are. Think about this now. Here's the insignificant people. The devil don't even know they exist. Don't know who they are. They're dead and buried in a grave of ignorance. But this people is mentally dead in the grave of ignorance that God's going to resurrect on the judgment day are going to become the future rulers of the entire planet Earth. Why? Because they are the lost members of the God tribe of Shabars. They've been going through these trials and tribulations, you understand, and experience and involvement and so forth to make them come forth and be this great ruler. Remember, to be qualified to be the ruler of the universe. Not just the earth, but the gods under the whole entire universe. He said one of our fathers. Our father is the one that created the universe. And here in America are the last remaining members of that first self-created black God that created the universe. The last remaining members of his divine family is right here in America. Isn't that something to think about?